So I started asking questions about the police car. And so I had to come over and talk to my finance guy, and I go, how in the world did the chief of police get a $40,000 police car? And he said, well, actually, he didn't. I said, what do you mean? Well, it went out to legal bid, like we do in the city, to give everybody the opportunity to bid. And the original bid was for, I believe, like a $23,000, $24,000 car, which is like within the range. That's what my lieutenants drive. And I'm not any more special than they are, so that should be a really nice car. And they get that car into contract, they get a fleet price, and it shows up, and voila, there it is. Well, the chief decided that that wasn't a good enough car. Okay, well, I could do that, and you know, maybe my ego's big enough to do that. But the next thing that happens is they go down to the dealership and they upgrade the car, add another $10,000, $12,000 to the bill to add all the upgrades and get the Impala. And they don't go through the city process to get it approved. They just work their own deal with the dealer with the former car they had. I don't know what you make of that, but I think you're pretty bright people. Not okay. So now I have to sell another car. So we have two beautiful cars. We have a beautiful Yukon and we have a beautiful Impala for sale. And we're not sure how we're going to do that yet, but we'll make it available to the public at some point. And I will buy a car like my lieutenants. I'm not special. And that darn Charger is pretty darn cool. I'm kind of looking for it. Okay, so I'll let that go. Money, that's out. All right, so then, as part of the next thing you do as the chief of police is you go look in the drawers in your office. Kind of an interesting thing when you find in your drawers in the office. And again, I've been a command officer for 27 years of my 34-year career in the LAPD. And in change of command, you always go in and you check things out and you look for things. And I start finding these letters and notepads. And I'm not sure who wrote them yet, but when I read those letters and notepads, which I get to do, this is my desk now. You know, some still argue that, but it is my desk. And as I'm reading through this stuff on my desk, it's pretty clear, once we get to the bottom of it, it's the note-taking of retaliation against people in the department who are whistleblowing. Okay? I'm a pretty smart guy. When I read these things, I know exactly what's going on. So we have some investigations going on, and we will get those notes to the people who are conducting those investigations, and we'll get to the bottom of it. So as I'm doing that, and this is the good news, and I pray that my police officers are listening today, there's some officers in my department who've been retaliated against by management. And I'm unraveling that now. I met with one of those officers today who will remain unnamed. It's up to him to decide if he wants to come forward, who couldn't wait to come back to work. He's been off for a long time on administrative leave because he was afraid to come to work. This guy shows up in my office, suit and tie, smile on his face. He's so excited, telling me all about his career and all the things that he's done. He worked for some people, including Mike, who's sitting right back there, and great guy. And I'm like, wow, where has this guy been? And then I find out that he's some guy that we relieved from duty and sent home. And I start looking into the discipline that he got. And the discipline was not even misconduct that he got disciplined for. You know what I mean? I'm a pretty smart guy. And I'm just telling you, when you read the allegations of misconduct, they are not misconduct. And then he was disciplined, and money was taken away from his family and his paycheck. I have talked to Richard about this one, and we're going to get him his money back, and we're going to restore his good reputation, because when I see wrong, it doesn't matter which way it goes, we're going to stand up and do the right thing.
Yeah.
And there's another. There's two more that I'm looking at, and we'll get to the bottom of those as well. And that's just the way the business is done. Unfortunately for the city, it creates a liability for us in some sense. But you know what I know about? When you make people whole who have been wrong, that's all they want is their reputation back. They're not going to sue us. They're not going to come after us. They're going to be so grateful that somebody finally realized what happened, and they're going to be the hardest working people that I have. This guy is going to kill himself in the next several months, wanting to polish my car, do whatever he needs, man. He's so happy. Honestly, it was the highlight of my 8 days when I met with this officer today. The absolute highlight. A guy who'd been threatened and abused by supervisors in the department, retaliated against, and I'm just calling it like I see it. So I'm glad he's back. I'll let him speak for himself. Okay, see other funny shenanigans going around here? In my 34-year career in the LAPD, I did my absolute best to stay out of politics because that's not my role in the police department. I've always tried to separate politics from my role because I'm in the executive branch of the department when I'm in policing. I'm not in the politics department. However, I'm choosing to diverge a little bit today and venture into a ground that I really don't want to, but I'm very disturbed by some things that are happening in the city. And if I hurt people's feelings, believe me, it's not my intent. But I'm choosing to live in the light. So first of all, my post status. So there are some in the city who claim that I do not have the proper post status to be the chief of police because I left city service 7 years ago. And there's a law through post. So before I say all that, how do I know that? In the LAPD, I was in charge of human resources for the LAPD for 7 years as a chief and a commander. So what that meant, we're a huge organization, 13,000 people. My number one job was dealing with all of the city attorney, all the civil cases, all the personnel and management issues, all the internal civil cases. So I was responsible for all of that stuff every day. I worked with some of the smartest attorneys you'll ever meet in your life. And their whole job was to tell me when I was about to get in trouble, you know. And sometimes I just chose not to agree with them because sometimes, even though it might not be the best thing legally to do, it's the right thing to do. And most of the chief officers in here and sheriffs know what I'm talking about. Legal advice is just that, legal advice. And ultimately, the buck stops with me to make the right decision. So I always choose to make the right decision. So when I was offered this job in Calexico, I said to, gosh, I'm getting so tired. Excuse me, let me just catch my breath. So Richard, I said to Richard, so I want you to do my background investigation as fast as you possibly can. And I want you to find someone that no one can test their judgment and say they lied or covered for me. Because, you know, I'm a pretty high up ranking guy and I got lots of friends around the world in public safety. But I wanted somebody who didn't know me, who was a really good investigator, who'd do the right thing and tell the truth because I knew what was coming. I know how politics is played. And I'm sickened by it. So he's got my permission that if anyone asks, how did my background investigation turn out? The city attorney's here to hear me say it. He has my permission to release whatever you want to know about my background investigation. There you go. I am not going to hide anything. And have I made mistakes in my career? Absolutely. I admitted that last week. Last month, it feels like last month. I've made mistakes, I've been disciplined, I've had all of those things. But I'm not hiding anything because I want my cops to know that I do have a heart. I've been disciplined, I didn't like it. It doesn't feel good. But those discipline moments gave me the character and the backbone that I now have today. Like I said, they could give me 100 commendations, the only one I remember was the discipline. That's it, man. No, just like my parents, I still remember the razor strap I got when we accidentally hit my mom and gave her a black eye. No. You just never forget that. Me and my brother's fighting, mom gets a black eye, and neither one of us are taking ownership of that black eye. So Richard, again, in public, anyone who wants to know about my background investigation, be my guest. It's done. It's being delivered here tomorrow. I don't know the results, but I'm really not worried about it because I know my background, I know who I am, and I'm not afraid of what he's about to find. So then there's all this discussion about my post certificate. So when I was in the city of LA, we had two chiefs, one come from New York and one come from Philadelphia. They had absolutely no police training in California. So what's the truth about my post certificate? Right now there's an application in from the city manager at Post. And of course they're off on a retreat doing a kumbaya or something, like another government agency like that. But the good news is they have my application and it's merely a perfunctory thing where they say, yes, we've looked at his package and it's okay to move forward and send his background in when it is, and you have up to a year to finish all those background qualifications and to get all your certifications. I already have them up all the way up to executive management and post. I've been to every training school, every police officer ever dreamed he could go to in my 34-year career. I had the most generous bosses that paid for me to go all over the world to go to training, including Israel. So those people who love to stand out there and say, I'm not trained, I'm not qualified, it's not legal for me to take this job, it's hogwash. Absolute hogwash. And by tomorrow, well, everybody will have their little pieces of paper And that drama will go away. Thank God, because I'm really tired of it. So my pay, oh my gosh, I have never heard so much follow in my life. So the city manager said to me, Mike, what would you like for pay? We're in negotiations now. And I said to him, and he'll back me up, and so will Mr. Quinn, I don't want to make a dime more than the current chief makes, because I know the detractors, as soon as I get there, are going to start making fun of me for how much I make. Making fun of my suits because I have really nice suits. Well, get over it. I like nice suits. I worked for 34 years. Exactly. I work in the private industry. I like looking good. So get over it. If I'm the only guy in Calexico, it's okay with me. I'm going to look good. I'm vain. And I'm proud, and I want you to be proud of me, so I don't want anything to detract from the pride that you have of me and my chief. So I'm going to act professional. I'm going to dress professional. So then you say, well, then the detractors say, well, you know, the police chief only made this amount of money. Okay, the dirty little secret that they're hiding from you in the community that they're about to back me up with. You know, you make a salary in a city, and the city pays somewhere between another 60 and 80% on top of that salary in benefits. Very expensive benefits, right? Well, guess what? I already have all those from my previous job in retirement. I have them all. Plus, I'm too old to worry about if I die. It's kind of the natural course of life now. I'm not really a big risk to the city if I die. Oh, well, he's 62, you know. Nobody's going to go, oh, his poor family, they're not going to survive, and all that stuff, right? So, the controversy is that I said, okay, I don't need any of those benefits, so just pay me the benefits in cash, and that's my paycheck. So in actuality, the truth is I'm making exactly what the current chief of police makes. You know, within a few, I don't know. That's up to John to decide, but I think I'm really close. Maybe I make a little bit more because I actually started crunching the numbers, and I don't know the formula, but I'm like really close to what the previous chief made, and that's on purpose because I knew this controversy would come up, and people would use that controversy to come out and say how unfair it is that he's making more money. I am not making more money than your previous chief, and I won't as long as I hear because I'm not motivated by money. But I need money to live in 2 places. And I'm living in 2 places. Okay? And that's not cheap. So I just want to get that cleared up so that controversy's over. So my officers, again, you got some phenomenal people in that department. Your civilians are unbelievable. They are great, great people. The union's choosing to work with me. And believe me, that's no small miracle because I know how scary I am to them. And they say it. We're willing to work with you, but you scare us to death. And please stop bad-mouthing us. That's what they say to me every time they see us. So I'm going to say it again. You got some really good employees, really good people that can't wait to have leadership. They can't wait to have the line drawn on the sand. And are really looking forward to working with me. And I'm really proud to be their boss. I really am proud. The next thing, our firefighters. Oh my gosh, Jiminy Christmas. What great people they are, man. They're like, I try to come over and find out whether they have wine and hors d'oeuvres, but they don't do that here in Calexico. What a great group of people, and they're just awesome. They're a lot of fun. They make fun of me, and I love that part of it. They actually treat me like a human. Chief is kind of the new name that you get when you come in the department. You know, that's kind of like my appointed name. My real name is Mike, and they know the difference of when to call me Chief and when to call me Mike, and I like my name. My son likes Michael. He doesn't really like Mike. But I actually like Mike, so that's how we distinguish ourselves from each other. So, finally, I really look forward to meeting with the other 3 members of the City Council. You know, I had the awesome opportunity to meet with Mr. Moreno and Councilmember Hurtado, and I love their vision for this city. Man, they are fantastic. You have no idea. I've worked for a lot of City Council people that, frankly, didn't have the interests of the city at heart. Well, these 2 definitely did. And I know the other 3 do, and I look forward to meeting with them as well when the opportunity comes. I've made the invitation. It appears that schedules keep conflicting or something. I'm not sure what, but we'll get it worked out, and I look forward to meeting with them.